fellow book lovers, welcome back to the Bibliovert channel. My name is Jacqueline, and for today's video, I'm going to be doing the mid-year book freakout tag. And if you don't know what that is, it is basically just a list of questions for the bookish community here on YouTube to answer, to talk about the different books that we've been reading for this year so far. So let's go ahead and jump right on in and get started. And the first question is, best book that you have read so far in 2021? So, of course, I have several because I can't just pick one, and those are Get a Life, Chloe Brown by THIEE Hibbert. And y'all, this book is so good. I absolutely loved it. So before this year, I have never really read just romance books. So this was definitely one of the ones that first kind of got me into reading romance. It was funny, it was witty, the banter was fantastic, the storyline is so fun, the plot is perfect. I loved the diverse representation that was in it. Chloe has a chronic illness, and just the way that THIEE Hibbert handled the discussion around that illness was just, in my opinion, so well done. Reading this book came at a really timely moment for me. It was a day that I had been going and getting a lot of blood tests done, so needless to say, it really resonated with me. I absolutely adored it. I have now read the rest of the series and absolutely adored each book as well. They are all 5-star reads for me. So this book is not only special to me for the time that I read it, but just the way that THIEE Hibbert wrote it was just really, really good. The next one is Gilded Wolves by Roshni Chokshi, and this is actually a book that I read this last month, and it's just so good. It's so incredibly good. Roshni Chokshi did a fantastic job creating an amazing plot. If you're looking for kind of like a heisty found family situation, this is a really, really, really great series to read. It is set in Paris in 1889, and just the whimsy and imagery and the mystery that is all thrown into this book, in my opinion, it just blew me out of the water. I wasn't expecting it to be this good. I just kind of felt like it was just going to be, a quick and easy read, kind of to help me through the massive readathon, and instead I absolutely fell in love with all of the characters, with their pains and their struggles and what they were going through, and just really, really ended up absolutely loving this book. So I cannot recommend it enough. I feel like every time someone's like, what's a book I should read? I'm like, this one. Read this book. It is so good. It encapsulates everything that I am looking for in a book. The characters are fantastic. The plot is wonderful. There's really great character development. There aren't those easy tropes that are overdone just plaguing this book. Instead, you can tell that it was like very carefully and meticulously thought out. There are lots of twists and turns that you don't see coming. It's just a really, really great book. Moving on to question number 2. Best sequel you have read so far in 2021. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie. I have been very, very disappointed so far in my most anticipated releases of 2021. They have fallen very hard for me. So this one was an easy one to pick because there's really only been like one that I've truly, truly loved. However, it is The Silvered Serpents by Roshni Chokshi. It is the sequel to Gilded Wolves, and y'all, again, so freaking good. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but this one is set in Russia. When I was reading this one, I definitely got kind of like a National Treasure vibe. I mean, she even has dedicated the book to Nicolas Cage, saying the muse that she didn't know she needed. But again, it's just fantastic. Very twisty, very turny. You don't really know what to expect. You don't know who you can trust. It captured my imagination, held it through to the very end, and the ending had me at the edge of my seat. I fell in love with the characters in book 1, continued to love them in book 2, and there was not a single thing that I would change about this book. It was amazing. All right, the next question is new release you haven't read yet but want to, and that is Sing Me Forgotten by Jessica S. Olsen. Oh my goodness, this book has come highly recommended to me, and I cannot wait to get to it because this is a Phantom of the Opera retelling, but gender bent. And literally that's all I needed to know to want to read this book. So I have done my very best to stay away from spoilers. I honestly haven't even read the blurb about it because I just want to dive in and read it. So this is definitely a priority book read for me. I really want it to be good. So I've heard that it's amazing, and so I trust the people who've told me that. So this is definitely one that I cannot wait to get to. The next question is, what is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year? And I have several, and several of them have caveats as well. So some of the ones that I'm excited about is A Shadow in the Ember by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is a new series, however, it goes parallel to the From Blood and Ash series, and this is supposed to be a Hades and Persephone retelling, also gender bent, and I've said this several times, but I am Hades trash, so I will read anything that is about Hades and Persephone. We'll get to this later on in this video, but I have a lot of thoughts about the From Blood and Ash series, not all of them super great, so I'm hesitant to be excited about this book, but at the same time, the idea about it sounds really nice, and of course it's one of those like get close to them so you can kill them kind of thing. So I'm excited, but I'm also yeah, so that's kind of the caveat with that one. The next one is Gods and Monsters by Shelby Mahurin. Again, there's a caveat for this one. I loved Serpent and Dove. Absolutely, incredibly fell in love with Lou and Reed. It was amazing. It was one of my favorite books that I read last year. However, I really did not like Blood and Honey. I was really bummed about that book. However, I love Shelby Mahurin and think that she is an incredible writer. I really enjoy following her online. So I have so much faith that she is going to wrap up this series really well, that Gods and Monsters is going to be an incredible book. So I am very hopeful that it's going to redeem Blood and Honey for me and kind of redeem the series as a whole. So I am excited about that one, but I'm also, again, kind of similar to A Shadow in the Ember, slightly hesitant as well. And the last book that I'm excited about, I don't think this is going to come as a shock to anyone, but it is The Bronze Beast by Roshni Chachki, and this one comes out in September, and it's getting closer, and so I am very happy about that one. So that one is absolutely no doubt about it my most anticipated read of the second half of 2021, and I am very ready. Okay, so the next question, so sorry to interrupt. This is Editing Jacqueline, and I realized that there are a few more books that are being released later on this year that I totally forgot to mention. The first one is King of Battle and Blood by Scarlett St. Clair, and this has one of my all-time favorite tropes. You marry him in order to get close enough to kill him, and I am here for it. Also, it's a vampire book, so no complaints from me here. The next one is also by Scarlett St. Clair, and that is A Game of Retribution, which is the second book in Hades' point of view that parallels A Touch of Ruin. The next one is Kingdom of the Cursed by Carrie Maniscalco, and this is the sequel to Kingdom of the Wicked, and the only thing that I have to say is wrath. That's all. And lastly, These Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan. This comes out later this month and is said to be A Cruel Prince Meets A Court of Thorns and Roses, which immediately has me interested. All right, that's it. Let's get back to this video. I'm a little bit nervous about is what book has been the biggest disappointment for you this year? And again, I have more than one. So I was so excited about this book, and then I read it. A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. Y'all, I'm so disappointed in this book. If there has been any book that can incite my anger in a snap, it is this one. It has been months since I've read this book, and yet there are things that can still just make me so angry whenever I talk to someone about this book. There are parts of it that were so beautiful that I loved so much, specifically the friendships. And again, I don't want to spoil anything about this book, but the friendships in this book were so sweet, so precious, so wholesome, so wonderful that I adored that aspect. I adored the growth that happened. However, there were some things that were so bad. And that made me just absolutely livid. The character assassination that happened, characters not being characteristic of themselves, some of the things that were said that were so toxic and inappropriate, just like awful. And to the point where we have a 3-hour episode over on the Bibliovert podcast about this book. And a lot of it is just raging. So, needless to say, this one was hands down one of the most disappointing reads for 2021 for me. I'm like nervous about the rest of the books that are coming out in this series. I don't even know, like, it just, yeah. So this one, it wasn't it for me. It just, no. But moving on. The next one was probably my second most anticipated book coming out this year, and it was A Crash and Burn Dumpster Fire, and it was Crown of Gilded Bones by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Now, we also have an episode over this book. I love From Blood and Ash. Such a good book. I enjoyed it so much. There are glaring things about that book that are not great. However, I chose to overlook them because I just enjoyed the story, the plot, the characters so much. Then we get to Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. And it was so slow. It was so slow. And we talked about this in the episode, and for me, I was like, okay, we've covered some of the things that I guess some of these characters needed to work through. Book 3 needs to pick up, be fast-paced. There needs to be a plot because there wasn't one in Book 2. Things need to happen. Things need to progress. And I'll be very happy and can kind of overlook Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. Oh my gosh, did that happen? No! It was slower. We stayed in one room for 400 pages. Nothing happened in this book. And it just about drove me up a wall. The beginning was really fast-paced. The ending was really fast-paced. But good gracious, that middle. I was so disappointed. Those were hard pills for me to swallow this year because I was so excited about them. And they just weren't it. So, let's move on. That was a very heavy... I try not to like rag on books too much because authors have put in so much work to make this an incredible experience for their readers, and I don't want to just like talk crap about them. So let's just move on. Let's move on to some lighter discussions. Okay, the next one is which book has been the biggest surprise for you, and I am excited about this one to say the least. Hands down, the book that has probably been the biggest surprise for me is Daughter of the Pirate King by Trisha Levenseller. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I put off reading this book for a really long time, and it's because I didn't like the cover. Like, I had heard that this book is really good, but I just really didn't like the cover. And so I just wasn't very interested in it. However, oh my gosh, this book was so much fun. The banter is the best banter that I've ever read in a book. The characters were really fun. Alosa is like this fearsome but capable person, and she is on a mission, and she is not going to let anything distract her from it, and anyone who gets in her way, oh well, too bad. But she's just so fun and likable and kind of like who I would love to be like and emulate. The plot is fairly straightforward. The book isn't very long. However, there was a twist that happened towards the end that I just did not see coming at all. And so it was just like such a fun, pleasant surprise. I have the second one ordered, and I am really looking forward to reading it. So that one caught me off guard. I have read Shadows Between Us by Trisha Levenseller and also didn't really love it. So I kind of had that going against me with starting Daughter of the Pirate King. However, it was just like so fresh and new and fun and exciting and enjoyable. And like just a pirate book. And it was just so good. So definitely Daughter of the Pirate King. Biggest surprise so far of 2021. Okay, so this next question is favorite new author debut or new to you. And this one is kind of a little bit tricky for me to answer because I've been doing so many rereads. For the podcast, we did all of Throne of Glass. However, I read 2 books by this author last year and really, really enjoyed her writing. But when I read this series, I was like, okay, I've loved everything that she's done. And it just really pleasantly surprised me. And that is Renee Ahdieh. So I read The Beautiful and the Damned last year, and that is her vampire witch story that is set in New Orleans. And y'all, it is really, really good. And then I read The Wrath and the Dawn earlier this year. I think just the fact that Renee Ahdieh was able to write series that are so different from one another. You know, oftentimes an author will kind of pick something that they know and that they're good at, and they kind of like expand upon that. But The Beautiful and the Damned, it's set in New Orleans and is vampires and witches. And then The Wrath and the Dawn is a very much like Middle Eastern retelling. And it was just fantastic. Fantastic. This book in particular is about Shazi, who has decided that she is going to marry the Caliph and then murder him because every single day he has to marry someone new and they die by sunrise. And oh my goodness, this book is really, really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I fell in love with the characters. It's enemies to lovers. The stories that are told within this story were just really, really, really well done. Now, I have not read Renee Ahdieh's other series, The Flame and the Mist. However, I do have it, and I believe it is set in feudal Japan. So just her ability to just write in different settings just absolutely fascinates me, and just I think that marks her as a very talented writer. So I think Renee Ahdieh is quickly becoming one of my favorites. All right, the next question is, who is your newest fictional crush? And this one is very easy. Hades. It doesn't matter what book, all of them. Wherever he's involved, Hades, I love him. Hades trash. But specifically the Touch of Darkness series by Scarlett St. Clair, he's just really great. He's like the definition of like fierce, terrifying, will absolutely like kill anyone, but then like a soft cinnamon roll and like caring and thoughtful and like really cares about his people, and just it's like the looks like he can kill you, but also is a cinnamon roll at the same time. It just, I love him. I love him. So, but at the same time, like literally any book I read, I fall in love with a tall, dark, broody, handsome man. So any book really, but specifically Hades. Yes. All right, the next question is, who is your newest favorite character? Okay, I know I've already said this book already. However, I think it's Alosa from Daughter of the Pirate King. She was just a lot of fun. She kind of reminded me a little bit of Aelin in that she was very confident, very cocky, but she also was capable and like was able to do the things that she was saying that she was going to do. And she's also kind of like, I said this a little bit earlier, but if I could be anyone, like to have that kind of confidence, I think I would love that. So I think Alosa from Daughter of the Pirate King, she was certainly a fun character for me to read. So probably her. All right, the next question is, what is a book that made you cry? I cry very easily in books. I'm not really a crier otherwise, but when I read, absolutely. But one that like fondly made me cry was Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim. And the reason why is because at the very beginning of the book, we are learning about Maya and her family, and the dynamic that she has with her 3 brothers was really, really sweet. And I have 2 older brothers. I'm the youngest. I'm the only girl. And just like seeing those relationships reflected on page was just really, really sweet. So I adore my brothers. It was really fun to see a character who adores her brothers as well. And so, yes, this one made me cry and I liked it. This book is also fantastic. This was our book buddy read last month, and 5 out of 5 star read for me. The next question is, what is a book that makes you happy? I actually keep lending this book to people, so I currently don't have it. I think I just need to buy like a stack of 5 because it's one of my favorites to recommend. But it is the Bromance Book Club by Lyssa K. Adams. I had the best time reading this book. It's another romance book, so pleasantly surprised on that one. However, this is a book about a baseball player who his marriage is falling apart. He finds out that his wife has been lying to him. And so his friends basically bring him into this top secret book club where they read romance novels in order to understand their partners better. And it was just so funny. Just like absolutely like weak arm belly laugh, have a stitch in your side, funny. So it was truly one of my favorites to recommend. It is absolutely hilarious. The characters were really, really fun. I haven't continued on with this series just quite yet because the next book is about the sister of the main female character. She was the one character that I really did not like. So I'm kind of hesitant to read the rest of the series. However, I've heard that it is still really good, so I think I just need to do it. But this book in particular, so fun, so entertaining, absolutely hilarious, and is one that I love to recommend to people because it truly does just make you really, really happy. The next question is, what is the most beautiful book that you have bought this year or received? And truly, this is I bought this book because the covers are beautiful, and I actually just went ahead and bought the entire series, even though I have not read them yet. But it is City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. These covers are just absolutely stunning. I really wanted the hardcovers, however, I could not find them anywhere, so I did get them in paperback. They're just absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. Now, this is an adult fantasy novel, and again, I have not started it, have not read it. I really, really want to, but I've heard that it is like utterly fantastic. So this is definitely a book that I'm super excited about. Really, really want to get to in 2021. And I've heard just like really, really great things about it. And the last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? So other than all of the ones that I have already stated, there are still a few more as well. And those are Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. So many people talk so highly about this book that it is truly like one of their favorite books of all times and such a great series. I think the cover is absolutely stunning. I don't know why I've been putting this one off for so long. It has sat on my shelf for over a year, but I've really been wanting to get around to it. So this is definitely one of those. The next one is actually one that TikTok recommended, and again, that makes me slightly hesitant because I've been burned in the past. However, The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. So this was recommended to me as like a dark academia, and if the Library of Alexandria was never lost. Say no more. Like literally, that's, and like the cover is really beautiful. It follows 6 different characters, and I mean, like, there you go. This is really one that honestly I think I'm going to try to get to in the month of July because, I mean, it's just really pretty and I love dark academia, and like as a little kid I was obsessed with like Egypt and the Library of Alexandria, so it's kind of just like a no-brainer, right? So anyway, definitely want to get to this one. Really excited about it. I'm hoping to get to it this month. And the last one is one that we're actually talking about doing over on the Bibliovert podcast, but we're just not sure if we're going to get to it this year or if we're going to bump it back to 2022. Either way, though, I really want to read it. And it is King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. Right now, we are in the middle of doing the Shadow and Bone Grishaverse series. We're also going to have an episode where we talk about the TV show. But right now, the discussion is, do we go ahead and jump into like King of Scars and Rule of Wolves immediately after we finish the TV show? Or do we have like a little break in between, kind of similar to what we did when we did Six of Crows, and then we waited a little while before we did Shadow and Bone? So that's kind of something that we're talking about. However, The cover is beautiful. I love Nikolai so much. He was absolutely my favorite character in the Grishaverse. So I really want to read his books because, I mean, how do you not just like love him? So hopeful to get to this one in 2021, but if not, maybe 2022. All right, well, that is it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope that maybe you have some new books and new recommendations for you to read, but please leave a comment down below and let me know what books have been your favorites or the ones that you've been the most disappointed in so far in 2021. I would love to hear your thoughts as well. If you enjoyed this video, if you wouldn't mind, please liking and also subscribing to our channel. We have an Instagram, the Bibliovertpodcast. We talk a lot about books and different things going on over there, so please be sure to give us a follow. We also have a podcast, the Bibliovertpodcast. We have over 30 episodes where we literally just talk about books and have the absolute best time doing it. We have episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play. We also have a Patreon with the most incredible book-loving people ever, and we would love for you to come join our conversations, meet new friends, and of course, talk about books. So definitely check that out. The link for our Patreon is down below. But that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a fantastic week. Happy reading, and I'll see you next time.